Hello everyone, welcome back to your Eleanor, and this video we are going to explain Love Alert BL episode number 8. The story continues when Jimmy wakes up and finds himself in his room. He feels dizzy from the effects of alcohol. Jimmy leaves his room and smells the aroma of food. Jimmy thinks Toe is at his place. He immediately runs and hugs the person he thinks is Toe. But in reality, it is Tay. Tay hits Jimmy on the head and says that he is not Toe. Jimmy then thanks Tay for bringing him home. Tay says that he did not take Jimmy home. When Tay woke up and realized that Jimmy had already left his house, and Jimmy's phone was not being answered, Tay was worried that Jimmy might have had a car accident. So Tay came to Jimmy's condominium to check on him. Luckily, the condominium door was not locked. And a kind person like him happened to be Jimmy's friend. Tay even cooked food for him. Jimmy is curious about how he managed to get home. Tay asks what Jimmy remembers from last night. Jimmy only remembers leaving the bar and being beaten by some people. Tay does not want to hear that part. Is that all Jimmy remembers? Tay risked his life to save Jimmy. Sacrificed his back just to bring Jimmy home. Jimmy, who does not remember anything, is shocked. Jimmy thinks that Tay is still angry at him. But Tay is just a good friend until the end of the story. Tay even serves food to Jimmy, while Jimmy wonders who brought him home. Was he really so unconscious that he did not remember anything? Jimmy starts eating, and Tay watches him. Jimmy once again thanks Tay. Tay reminds Jimmy not to drink alone until he loses all memory. Jimmy will not be that lucky every night. Jimmy asks how Tay knew he was at the bar. Tay answers that he has informants. They told him that Jimmy was drinking alone, and asked Tay to come and take Jimmy away. Jimmy then begs Tay for help. He wants to get back together with Toe. Hearing that, Tay hits Jimmy again while saying that Jimmy is getting dumber every day. If Tay were still angry at Jimmy, he would not have brought Jimmy home or taken care of him like this. Now everything depends on Jimmy. Jimmy can win Toe's heart back in his own way. And most importantly, telling Toe that Jimmy loves him through Tay is useless. If Jimmy truly loves him, Jimmy has to say it himself and prove it. That is all Tay can say. Tay then says goodbye, while Jimmy thinks hard. Meanwhile, Toe thanks Freeze for taking him to the exhibition and also taking him home. For Freeze, it is not a problem, he is happy anyway. Toe asks whether Freeze will go home or stay for dinner. Freeze really wants to try Toe's cooking, and he also helps Toe prepare the meal. When Jimmy walks toward the kitchen, he accidentally kicks the trash can and finds a package of Sensei's snacks. Jimmy remembers and checks the house CCTV. He is shocked and at the same time happy when he sees that Toe was the one who took him home last night. Freeze is happy watching Toe cook, to the point that he does not realize his hand gets injured. Because of that, Freeze says that Toe can tell that he rarely cooks. Toe replies that Freeze is a doctor, not a chef. Luckily, the wound is small. Toe brings a first aid box and treats his injury. Seeing how attentive Toe is, Freeze smiles. Without realizing it, Freeze moves closer to Toe. Freeze confesses that he likes Toe, and asks whether Toe would like to try dating him. Toe falls silent. That night, Toe tells Tay and Fah about it. Tay asks what Toe's answer is. Toe smiles and says that he needs time to think. Tay is happy because if Toe accepted right away, Freeze might think that Toe is easy to get. Fah hits Tay for being too protective. After all, Freeze and Toe are not children. There is no need to play hard to get. Tae explains that he does not want to see his older brother heartbroken again. Fa replies that that will not happen. Do not compare a doctor to Tae's friend. Fa fully supports Freeze. Freeze has the personality and the profile, do not let him slip away from Toe. Because usually people only ask Toe to go to bars, waste his time, or just want a one-night love. But Freeze is the opposite. He only visits the cafe every day, morning and evening. Freeze takes Toe to art galleries he likes. And even helps him cook. Suddenly, Jimmy calls Toe. Fa strongly forbids Toe from answering the call. Because it is obvious that Jimmy is calling just to beg Toe to come back. Toe replies that Jimmy has not contacted him for a long time. This is the first time. He will only answer it if Jimmy is calling for the same reason. Toe will immediately hang up. It turns out Toe is informed that Sensi is sick. Tae and Fa take Toe to Jimmy's house. Toe immediately runs inside the house. Toe searches for Sensi in panic and makes sure of his condition. Meanwhile, Jimmy, who sees him, smiles. Jimmy explains that a while ago Sensi was not feeling well. Maybe he missed his mom. Now that Toe has come, Sensi is much better. Feeling toyed with, Toe chooses to leave. But Jimmy hugs Toe. Fat asks why they are still outside. And why they do not go into Jimmy's house. Tae says that Toe only went to check on Sensi. Tae knows that Fa does not like cats. It is better for them to wait outside. Fat explains that he is just worried Toe will soften. When Fat is about to go in to check, Tae stops him and immediately hugs Fa. It is better to give Toe some time. And Tae accidentally blurts out that Jimmy will have a chance. Hearing that, Fat asks what chance. Fa starts threatening Tae to tell him. Tae only smiles. Back to Jimmy. Jimmy says that he knows Toe was the one who took him home. Flashback to when Toe came down from his room and saw Jimmy. He took Jimmy home. Toe could even tell when Jimmy kept murmuring apologies to him. Toe tried to be strong and not break down. He started greeting Sensi and giving him snacks. Jimmy asks if Toe was worried about him, which is why he took him home. Jimmy starts kissing Toe. Toe releases himself from Jimmy's embrace. Toe slaps Jimmy and reminds him that he took Jimmy home only because he did not want to wake up and see Jimmy in his house. And the reason Toe came there was only because Jimmy lied about Sensi. Toe cares about Sensi, not Jimmy. That was the only time Toe trusted Jimmy. And Jimmy must never use Sensi to lie to him again. Because Toe does not like it. When Toe is about to leave, Jimmy keeps apologizing. He begs Toe to give him one chance. Toe says that the time is over. When the time ends, everything is finished. Toe reminds him that after they are done, Jimmy must never show his face to Toe again. Not even as a friend. And Jimmy himself was the one who said those words. Jimmy only says that he loves Toe. Toe does not care and chooses to leave. Outside, Fat asks why Tae did all of that. Tae can only apologize. Fat reminds him that Jimmy keeps hurting Toe. Now Tae is siding with Jimmy instead of Toe. Tae explains that he only feels sorry for Jimmy. Fat asks if Tae wants to see Toe heartbroken again. Toe arrives and answers that it will never happen again. Sensi is fine. And Toe asks them to leave immediately. Tae asks about Jimmy. Toe answers that he came for Sensi, not the owner. Fat smiles at Toe's firmness and tells Tae to get into the car. Jimmy turns to Sensi. He murmurs that his mom is cruel. Jimmy has tried his best, but To is very stubborn. Jimmy can only cry. The next day at campus, Jimmy is being waited for by Tae. And Tae hits Jimmy on the head. Tae says that he should not have helped Jimmy, because Fa is angry with him, and does not even let Tae hug him. Tae regrets getting involved in Jimmy's messy problems. Jimmy gently begs Tae. He says that it is just small nagging from his lover. For the sake of his love for his sibling and his love for his friend, Jimmy wants Tae to keep helping him. He is almost successful, and To will surely forgive him, because Jimmy keeps holding his hand. Tae wants Jimmy to let go. Tae then says that Freeze has asked To to be his lover. Jimmy is shocked. He asks what To's answer was. Tae says to let To think about it first. Hearing that, Jimmy believes that To still has feelings for him. Seeing Jimmy's confidence, Tae hits him again. Tae then explains that Dr. Freeze is polite, mature, and has a stable life. Freeze is not a player, and he has a complete green flag. Simply put, Jimmy does not compare. Tae deliberately tells Jimmy, so that later Jimmy will not be too disappointed. Freeze chases after his brother every day. It is only a matter of waiting for To to answer his confession. At the cafe, To receives a bracelet gift from Freeze. The knitted bracelet is made specially by Freeze, only for To. To asks if there is anything Freeze cannot do. Freeze says that he still cannot become To's lover. Freeze asks if To's heart is starting to soften a little. To changes the topic and chooses to make coffee. He thanks Freeze for the gift, while To is busy making coffee. Freeze watches him. Jimmy, who stays silent and remembers the beautiful moments with To, starts to wonder whether he should keep moving forward or stop. Someone like Jimmy never begs. That would ruin his reputation. But Jimmy misses To. What should Jimmy do? His two friends, seeing Jimmy talking to himself, snap him back to reality. They ask if heartbreak has made Jimmy talk to himself. Jimmy excuses himself by saying he is practicing for a presentation. But the exams are over, what presentation is there to prepare? It is the first time Tittle sees Jimmy, the player, lose his composure like this. But Jimmy reminds them that he has always been the one who gets bored and ends things whenever he wants. They both can see that on that night. Jimmy did not go to beg and instead chose to drink with his friends. His friends did see that, but they also saw Jimmy constantly daydreaming. Jimmy has to admit that he really has been discarded. They will not mock Jimmy either, because everyone is already an adult. Jimmy even invites his two friends to make a bet. If they ever see Jimmy begging for To come back, they can take money from him. Jimmy reminds them again. A man like him never begs. The bet is agreed upon. But reality turns out to be different. Jimmy is seen ordering coffee at To's cafe. Seeing To, Jimmy asks if To can draw something on his cup. To does not answer, and immediately chooses to deliver Freeze's coffee. To coldly glances at Jimmy. Then To invites Freeze to go outside to get some fresh air. To even holds Freeze's hand. Jimmy stands still, watching what To does. That night, Jimmy returns home in sadness. Jimmy starts complaining that Sensei's mom does not want to talk to him, and does not even want to see Sensei. It turns out Sensei is on the stairs. Jimmy invites him into the bedroom and hugs Sensei. Sensei chooses to leave. Jimmy lies down on the pillow that To usually uses and starts murmuring that To's scent is beginning to fade. Jimmy stays in the bathroom while the water keeps flowing over his body. Jimmy cries. Meanwhile, To has just returned home. He puts the gift from Freeze into a box. To looks at Jimmy's photo on his phone. Whenever he remembers him, To feels sad. At campus, Tae smiles happily because he passed his exam. If his score were perfect, he says he might even set off fireworks. Tae asks about Fa. Seeing Fa's grades. Tae is amazed because everything is good. Fa praises Tae, saying he is beautiful and smart. Tae agrees with Fa's statement. While they are enjoying their conversation, one of their friends approaches them. He says there is bad news. It turns out Jimmy is sick. And Jimmy's two friends ask Tae to look after him, because they have a meeting with a lecturer. At Jimmy's condominium, Jimmy feels as if To is wiping his body. That is why he starts kissing the hand. And apologizing as well. But in reality, the hand he kisses is Tae's hand. Jimmy is shocked. Jimmy asks why Tae is wiping his body. Tae says it is because Jimmy is sick. Feeling awkward, Jimmy says he can do it himself. At the cafe, To waters the plants as usual, remembering moments he shared with Jimmy. He remembers seeing Jimmy eat with little appetite. Tae asks how the food tastes. Jimmy answers that he is deeply indebted to Tae's kindness. Jimmy then asks whether To knows that he is sick. Tae answers yes, because he sent a message to his brother. Jimmy feels sad because To knows he is sick. Yet To does not come to see him. Tears fall from Jimmy's eyes. That night, Tae shows To a video of Jimmy, who is sick and deliriously apologizing to To. To asks why Tae is showing him that video. Tae explains that on one side there is his sibling, and on the other side there is his friend. Tae cares about both of them. Even so, Tae has done his best, both as a friend and as a sibling. The choice is entirely To's. In his room, To keeps watching the video of Jimmy. To is hurt, but he also feels sorry for Jimmy. Jimmy strokes the pillow that once belonged to To. Meanwhile, Tae goes to Fa. Fa asks why Tae comes so late, and whether everything is okay. Tae says he just misses Fa and needs a hug. Tae hugs Fa tightly. Fa asks whether Tae is worried about To's situation. Tae answers yes. He does not like seeing his brother in this condition. Fa reminds him that To is already an adult and has the right to make his own choices. Their duty is only to always be by To's side, to comfort him when he is sad, and to be happy when he is happy. Hearing Fa's words, Tae says that he loves Fa. Fa feels the same way. And Fa wants Tae to stop overthinking, and to smile as well. They then kiss each other. And it does not stop there. At Jimmy's house, To comes to visit. In the yard, Jimmy's friends are there to see him. They say this is the first time they have ever visited Jimmy, because they have never seen Jimmy get sick before. One of his friends asks where Jimmy's lover is. Shouldn't To be there taking care of Jimmy? Tittle says that Jimmy and To have broken up. Jimmy himself said that he was bored and asked to break up. And besides that, Jimmy even once made a bet that if he begged to get To back, he would have to pay them. Jimmy says that he never begged, and that he will never fall in love with anyone. Hearing that, To is of course sad and cries. He returns to his cafe. There, he sits in silence, lost in thought. Outside, Jimmy arrives. Freeze, who happens to arrive at the same time, calls To. He is worried because Toe told him to come. Toe says that he will answer Freeze's confession from before. Toe asks whether Freeze still wants to be with him. And Toe's answer is yes. Freeze is happy to hear it and immediately hugs Toe. Jimmy is shocked and stands frozen in place. With a heavy heart, he leaves. What Toe does not know from Jimmy's conversation with his friends is that Jimmy said Toe is different. Jimmy misses him deeply. He wants to hug Toe, smell his scent, and hear his voice again. Jimmy truly loves him. Hearing that, his friends encourage Jimmy to get Toe back. That's all for this part. See you in the next episode 9. Thank you for watching and then have a nice day.